You are stronger than your fears and setbacks, never forget that. Nothing on this earth can overpower you. You got the strength to power through, living truth. Digging the roots, better proofs. Dig deep in your soul, you got a lot to use. A lot to lose now, you can never lose if you never quit. Overwhelmed and submerged, but you never submit. You got staying power, stronger than cement. Trust me, all the hard times I ever sent. You got a high purpose, high calling. Even when you alone, you're still important. It might seem impossible, but just keep moving forward. It's not the destination, the journey is rewarded. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. You'll be the winner at the end of the story, victorious. Doesn't matter where you start, you can win. Doesn't matter where you're from, you can win. Doesn't matter if it's hard, you can win. You can win, you can win. You might have lost before, but you can win. When your back's against the wall, you can win. When it's 1 against 1,000, you can win. You can win, you can win. You might have You are stronger than your fears and setbacks, never forget that. Nothing on this earth can overpower you. You got the strength to power through, living truth. Digging the roots, better proofs. Dig deep in your soul, you got a lot to use. A lot to lose now, you can never lose if you never quit. Overwhelmed and submerged, but you never submit. You got staying power, stronger than cement. Trust me, all the hard times I ever sent. You got a high purpose, high calling. Even when you alone, you're still important. It might seem impossible, but just keep moving forward. It's not the destination, the journey is rewarded. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. You'll be the winner at the end of the story, victorious. Doesn't matter where you start, you can win. Doesn't matter where you're from, you can win. Doesn't matter if it's hard, you can win. You can win, you can win. You might have lost before, but you can win. When your back's against the wall, you can win. When it's 1 against 1,000, you can win. You can win, you can win. You are stronger than your fears and setbacks, never forget that. Nothing on this earth can overpower you. You got the strength to power through, living truth. Digging the roots, better proofs. Dig deep in your soul, you got a lot to use. A lot to lose now, you can never lose if you never quit. Overwhelmed and submerged, but you never submit. You got staying power, stronger than cement. Trust me, all the hard times I ever sent. You got a high purpose, high calling. Even when you alone, you're still important. It might seem impossible, but just keep moving forward. It's not the destination, the journey is rewarded. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. You'll be the winner at the end of the story, victorious. Doesn't matter where you start, you can win. Doesn't matter where you're from, you can win. Doesn't matter if it's hard, you can win. You can win, you can win. You might have lost before, but you can win. When your back's against the wall, you can win. When it's 1 against 1,000, you can win. You can win, you can win. You are stronger than your fears and setbacks, never forget that. Nothing on this earth can overpower you. You got the strength to power through, living truth. Digging the roots, better proofs. Dig deep in your soul, you got a lot to use. A lot to lose now, you can never lose if you never quit. Overwhelmed and submerged, but you never submit. You got staying power, stronger than cement. Trust me, all the hard times I ever sent. You got a high purpose, high calling. Even when you alone, you're still important. It might seem impossible, but just keep moving forward. It's not the destination, the journey is rewarded. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. You'll be the winner at the end of the story, victorious. Doesn't matter where you start, you can win. Doesn't matter where you're from, you can win. Doesn't matter if it's hard, you can win. You can win, you can win. You might have lost before, but you can win. When your back's against the wall, you can win. When it's 1 against 1,000, you can win. You can win, you can win. You are stronger than your fears and setbacks, never forget that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're now tuning in to the Walking His Ways Impact Wars podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr., broadcaster out of the DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, Texas metropolitan area. And I also want to give a big shout out to TexasBlueRadio.net. We are affiliated with them here in the state of Texas. We know that it's all about doing great things, exploring great things, all about growth and involvement and development. And I also have a prime representative that's all about that. He's a native Texan himself. Carlos, I want to thank you, bro. I know he's doing a lot of great things. He's an entrepreneur in his own right. He comes to
Yes,
grind,
sir.
putting in work. He's constantly staying consistent, and he's the type of individual that's all about enhancing your life, not just professionally, not just in business wise, but professionally as well. The title of this episode is titled "I Am Him." And you got to know, fellas, that you are him. And ladies, you have to know you are her. But most importantly, it's all about knowing who you are. Like I had a conversation with someone this morning. Someone asked me, do I like my job? I said, the job does not define who I am. The job is just I do. It's not an I am. And once you know who you are, those things are just byproduct. But anyway, big shout out to Carlos. Carlos, thank you again, my brother, for tuning
No
in.
problem, man. No
It's
problem.
on
No
your
problem.
productive schedule. I know you're doing a lot of great things, my brother. But go ahead, introduce yourself. And you know, stranger here to the platform. I thank
Nah, it's
you.
my third time, brother. It's my
Yeah,
third
third
time,
time's a
man.
charm. So,
Yeah.
man, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Shout out to you, Furman, for allowing me to be on such an amazing platform, man. I see you. You've been consistent, man. That's the name of the game is consistency. My name is Carlos Lequizamo. I am from the Rose City, Tyler, Texas. I spent half my life in DFW. Am a I don't want to say small. I am a serial entrepreneur. I own Auto Media and Auto Digital, and I do a couple of other little side hustles. But I just wanted to, thank you again for the opportunity, man. And hopefully I can share some knowledge. We can share some knowledge to help some of your viewers.
Man, that's what it's all about, Carlos. I gotta get big shout out. I had a young man on the show last week, and we know that he said his motto is life is just a moment. I hope I said that right. When they say just a moment, we know that anything can happen, anything can transpire. It's all about what we're doing today. And then the old saying is, why put off tomorrow what you could do today? You know, Carlo, we have individuals who procrastinate, hoping and wishing, praying, but all about putting work. Before I came on the show this evening, the slogan came up with Nike. You know, Nike is what just do it.
Right.
We know that Nike is all about motivation, inspiration, but the slogan was just do it. And we know that people, and we all been there before, well, we procrastinated. We talked about it. We want to do this, do this, do this, but we never put in the work. We never put in the effort. And as you know, being a representative of putting in the work and being proactive, what made you be your mind to say, you know what, I want to make something out of my life. I don't want to settle to be mediocre. I don't want to settle to be complacent, but I know it's more to my life than just where I was from the beginning. What made you, when you had that come to Jesus moment where you say, you know what, enough is enough?
Um, a couple of times. Um, my most recent in 2018. I don't think I've ever shared this with you or ever even spoke about it on this platform. I tried to commit suicide in 2018, and life is very precious. We wake up with a new gift every day when we get to open up our eyes. And at that time, I was in a really bad, I was in a dark place. I was in my early 30s, and I had always felt something pulling me to something greater. The things that have happened in my life, the studying that I've done, the research I've done, but there were some other things that happened to me, and you always hear the moment that a higher power talks to you, goes in. God spoke to me in my mind, and I don't want to necessarily say that was a catalyst for me to become an entrepreneur, but the other things that have happened in my life, and the things that I've had to sacrifice to get to where I am, that was for me. It was not necessarily a specific date in 2018, but just 2018, all the highs and the lows, extreme highs, extreme lows. Um, that was the moment that I knew that, every day is a gift, like I said, and I wanted to take the initiative to look back in my life whenever it is that I go on to the next life and make sure that I have a full life, make sure that I don't have any regrets, man. I don't have any regrets. So,
I know, right? Like I said before, I came on the show again, and a big shout out to my sister. I was talking to her earlier, and I think about what the word says when Jesus I came, that you might have life and have life more abundantly. We know that He tends for us to have life. He tends to have purpose. He tends to have full of joy, peace, things of that nature, and not to be defeated, not be complacent. We see a lot of people right now, and big shout out to my co-host Nancy, just popped in out of Miami before we shout out to her, and just to be able to be fulfilled. God does not tend for us to be hurt. He did not tend for us to be sorrowful. He did not tend for us to be damaged, but
right.
that we could be fully healed. We could be fully free and fully walk with our head held up high. And we know that things happen, life happens, life throws a curveball, right? But it's what we do when we get those curveballs thrown to us. How we react to them, or do we pro-react to them? Because we know that life can hit you. Anything happen. A death of a loved one, um, losing a job, losing the business, a significant other don't want to be married no more. Things like that happen. But how do we cope when life challenges happen? How do we react to them? How do we react to them? Do we still walk with the mindset of a champion, or do we walk into the air we just cave in and just don't want to be
Can't
around
cave.
no more?
You can't cave in, man, because I mean, life life is not going to be easy, especially if you want to be your own boss, you want to be a CEO, you want to achieve amazing things in your life. I mean, uh, whether if you look at it through this or the story of Christ, no matter how you look at it, if you look at any greats in any type of industry, they have to go through the trials and tribulations. I mean, anything worthwhile. I mean, you get a lot of people, man, that want to say they want to be these bosses and queens, and well, not necessarily queens, but bosses and just the top of the creme, but they don't want to put in the work.
Hmm.
But you hear this now all the time, and then there's a lot of people that are, as soon as they hit some adversary, they quit. They quit. They fold under pressure. They bit off more than they could chew, or they don't plan strategically, or a lot of things like that. And I have failed a lot, Furman. I have failed. I'm not scared of failing because I'm going to take the information that I learned from that failure and apply it to my next go round, my next chapter. A tree, you can't, when you cut a tree and you look at the trunk, you look at all the rings. Each ring in that tree tells a story, and I'm sure anybody that, I'm a bit of a tree hugger. I love the outdoors. A tree cannot grow. It has to have good soil. It has to have the right, environment for it to flourish. But then sometimes too, we find the beauty in the darkest places too. So, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. You got to have the right mindset.
Yeah, you got to have the right mindset, and I know it takes time. 'Cause the book that I'm reading right now, is titled "Break." I can't. I'm gonna get back to it, but it deals with um breaking who you are, but reinventing who we want to be.
Mhm.
And it made me think about what the Apostle Paul says, that in Christ, we're a new creature. Old things have passed away, but all things become new. So it's the mindset, like you mentioned, Carlos, the mindset, changing the mind, renewing the mind. And it's not an overnight thing, it's a process. You got to think about it. We were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So we picked up bad. We had some good, but we also picked a lot of bad habits along the way.
Right.
So we have to get to the point where we have to unlearn to relearn. And it's really going back to the scripture when Jesus told Nicodemus that we must be born again, and not from, even though Nicodemus thinking from a physical standpoint, but Jesus was coming from a spiritual, like come from a spiritual standpoint. Well, okay, yeah, we were born in the physical through our parents, but now we have to be born again
In the
spiritually.
spirit.
So we have to restart your life all over again. So it's going back to unlearn to relearn. You know what I'm saying? Anytime we open up our eyes, it's another day for us to learn, to unlearn, to relearn. In other words, we're constantly evolving. The scripture says we go from glory to
Glory
glory
to
to glory.
glory.
So we're going up, up, up. And
Like
we
high
should,
school, from
right,
level
just
to level, from one grade to the next.
right. And so we should graduate forwardly instead of going backwards. We should always move forward. But we have, a lot of people, just like through the first of the year, a lot of people get excited about December 31st, January the 1st. I'm excited. This is my year. This is my season. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But then but then go right back to that state of mediocrity. Once again, we all been there before.
Right.
But keep playing at an all-time high level, if that makes sense. Keeping that fire going.
Keeping that
Keep
discipline going.
keep that, and it's process, it's the work and maintaining that, because when you're purpose driven, that's when distractions come.
Amen. That's where the trials and the tests come to see um, how your faith is being stretched and how you're going to respond,
Right.
Right.
and
Right.
how your character is being molded.
Yeah. Most definitely. And that's when all distractions come, when you're purpose driven. When you're pleasure driven, pleasure leads to addictions. That's to
Mhm.
drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it. But it's like when you're on your purpose, that's when all distractions come. That's when all hell breaks loose. But
Right.
that's when you're going back what you're saying, Nancy, just the focal point of it, knowing what's at stake. Because I have a great award on the other side waiting for me, but it's up to us to get there. With like being a champion, you constantly fighting to defend your championship every day on a regular basis. So it's about keeping that momentum. How can we keep that momentum? How can we keep that float going where we don't have to down ourselves? We don't have to feel bad about ourselves, but be happy. You know, you know what I'm saying, Nancy? Because Jesus, I care that you might have life and have more abundantly. I believe that we should be happy. I believe we should have joy, peace,
All the fruits of the spirit.
right? And you just having that currently ongoing cycle, if that makes sense. That I want to say.
Yeah.
But y'all more than welcome to just go ahead and time in.
It on my end, it kind of blanked out, so I didn't hear the last 10, 15 seconds.
Oh, I was just talking about I said I came that you might have life and have more abundantly. Keeping that momentum going.
Oh.
Having that made up mindset of, okay, I'm gonna be happy. I'm
Mhm.
gonna have joy. I'm
Wh-
gonna have peace.
So a lot of people, you can say it, our words have a lot of control,
Mhm.
and they have to match our minds and our souls. You can say something, I
But
could
are you
say I'm
living
gonna
it?
make you can say that I want a Bentley, but you can't have a Bentley working at Dollar General. You see what I'm saying? You got to have the income, but income is also currency, and this electrical, we're electrical beings. So you got to be able to be on the right currency and vibration to be able to, and whether regardless if you're going to be ordained by God Himself, if you're going to work and work out, you can't be going to Burger King and Taco Bell every day if you're going to want to be the healthiest, and you already know that the things that they put in the food, is not necessarily the best. And on top of that, you have to be around the right type of individuals or beings or environments. I can't say that I'm gonna change, and this is my year. This is 2025, and I didn't make it in 2025, so I'm gonna make it in 2026. But you're still doing the same things, have
Hanging
the
out with the
same
same
habits.
people that are
Right. They're
bringing you
leeches.
down
Right, right.
and not encouraging you to go higher, instead they're making you go lower.
If you're the person that knows everything in your group of friends or colleagues or whatever, and you know that it's time to find some people that know more than you, that make more than you, that people that you can learn from. Because I had to take a big pill, swallow a hard pill, that I thought I knew it all at one point in my life, and I don't know everything. I don't know actually nothing. I always am going to continuously learn, but the genesis of change is, a lot of people don't realize, is that you're gonna fall flat on your butt. And I think a lot of people are scared of failing, even in the most minute details, and that's ultimately what's gonna necessarily be the catalyst to change. We have social media. Social media can be a gift and a curse, but even the things that you subscribe to, the online term is doom scrolling. So if you're at 2 o'clock in the morning and watching a bunch of things that are uh penetrating your mind, that's going to be in a negative light, then you're going to be just things that you're consuming, regardless if it's food, content, people, vibes, energies, the whole nine. So
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you got to protect your world. You
mhm.
got to protect your environment. You got to protect your kingdom. You got to protect your empire.
Yep.
But when you on your purpose and when you on your grind and you come to learning who you are, we have the power, I believe, to be able to accept but don't accept. When I say that, what what are we allowing to come in?
Right.
Who are we associating ourselves with?
Right.
Who are we coming in covenant with, if that makes sense? I'm to the point now in your life, being married to the right person is important to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Career, why I say that, because I'm learning who Furman is. I'm learning to what Furman will and won't accept. For one thing, I'm all about peace. I do not like to argue. I won't argue with you. I won't go back
Amen.
and forth with you. I'm leaving. When I say that, because when I come home, I want to come home to peace. I'm
Deuces.
already when I step out my front door, I'm already dealing with the world. I'm dealing with the politics of the world. I'm dealing with the attitudes. I'm dealing with the personalities. I should not come home to World War III.
For real,
Well,
I'm
there's
not.
enough drama in the
exactly.
streets. There's enough drama in the workplace. There's enough drama at the school. Everywhere else, there's drama. The last thing you want to come home to is more drama, more
Right.
more chaos. We want peace.
Right. Cause Nancy and Carla, that's just where I'm at. Like I said, we come home, we can have hefty conversation, we can have hefty dialogue. I don't want to argue. I don't like arguing because, like I said, that's not even normal to me. And I don't understand how people would say, "Man, I hate going home sometimes. I gotta sit in my driveway." What the heck? That's not normal. That that's not
But
that's
you
not
got to.
living.
Some people have made that their norm, and it's not normal.
They come
E-
numb to it,
Even in
right?
the Christian community, there is that environment, and that's not what God intended for the church to be. God wants us to walk in peace, love, joy, and all the fruits of the Spirit, and be able to get along with each other and glorify the Lord, not come and be arguing and fussing and fighting, even on comments. I feel like if I comment something that is what the Word of God says, why are you arguing about it and not, you know, seeing where I'm coming from?
Because what it Nance, because people they look for that conversation. Something, if you don't like what a person posts, you don't have to comment on it. People look for that debate for some reason. They so debatable. They have to put their 2 cents in. And if it does not contain to you, like you said, why argue about it?
Yeah.
It's weird to me. But people do that. They actually like to. argue about it, and then it's just crazy. Some people just
Uh,
like that. But also, we got some comments too. I'm waiting on. I think something happened on Carlos' end. He was there. I think he just went out, but he's gonna pop back in. But we want to give a big
yeah.
shout out to everybody that's tuning in. The comments said big shout out to Miss D. She said good evening, and she was saying, "Oh well," I think she had put something in here. Big shout out to Crystal Smallwood in the comment section. Man, y'all make sure y'all go follow Crystal on her social media page. It's Crystal Talks Cancer, which is every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central, at 9 p.m. Eastern, on her social media account, on her Facebook account. So go ahead, make sure you follow Crystal. She has all type of conversations with different individuals from every parts of life, right, of course. I'm paraphrasing, but big shout out to Crystal. So y'all make sure y'all go check out every Thursday Crystal Talks Cancer.
But the
Go
word of
ahead.
God, that's why the word of God says, by their fruits you shall know them, because the children of God will walk in peace, love, joy, and sound mind. And they won't be in that foolishness.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think we'll miss a lot of people up too. Like I said, I know we all been there before. Looking for that companionship. People feel like they get lonely. And I do believe this, Nancy. When you're lonely, it opens up the floodgates of the enemy to come in, where
Yeah.
you'll start having unwanted company. That will miss a lot of people too. People getting these toxic relationships because of loneliness,
Mm,
desperation. So it's like they accept anybody, anything, but what it does, it hurts us in the long run. And I had a conversation with a coworker, and I'm coming from a guy's perspective. Guys, and I'm a guy, we've been there before. We get caught up in the physical attribute of the woman, and we should learn it's all about character. We miss a lot of guys up because I came across a lot of great women who may not look like a model, whatever you want to call them, which just don't make no sense. But it's about the character that makes them very appealing. It's about their
amen.
character that makes them very attractive. It's how they carry themselves, because the Bible talks about how a woman adorns herself, how she carries herself, the spirit of meekness. And some guys get caught up on the physical attribute of the
Mm-hmm.
individual. Instead, again, once again, as we start growing and we start evolving, we'll start looking past the physical. Okay, now I'm looking at your character.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like you said earlier, Jesus said, by their fruit you
You
shall
shall
know them.
know them.
Well, people think that's all contained to like ministry. You ain't just got to contain it to ministry. You could take that scripture in every area. Like, matter of fact, even it's talked about don't be unequally yoked. You
Amen.
know, but it's like you said, the fruit, knowing the fruit.
That's why we need to wait on God, because a lot of Christians don't want to wait. They want to jump into the first Christian or the first guy or first girl they meet, instead of looking at their fruits, looking how they're walking, and just if it's not lining up, don't go for it, because it's not for you. You're supposed to wait on God for the right person that God has for you.
That's
And
true.
I've learned over the years, you know what? I'm waiting. I'm not settling.
I mean, like I said, why settle for it? And I mean, why settle for it? I mean, but and I heard this years ago too. It's all about knowing this. Not I know people say the season, but it's all about knowing what God got you at. And I'm gonna say this too, and this is my experience with this. Knowing where you at in life,
Hmm.
knowing where you are, it's all about taking self inventory. And you got to ask yourself this too: would I marry me if I know if I'm jacked up
Hmm.
spiritually? Because that's not fair, Nancy, to the person.
Nope.
When you got issues, you got hangups, you got some things in your life that you're dealing with. It's not fair, Nancy, to bring someone into your situation
Yep.
when you know you got some demons that you're dealing with. What you want to say about that?
That's right. A lot of people are carrying things they shouldn't even be carrying.
There we go.
And not only does it affect you, it affects the person that you're with. So at the end of the day, you should wait to get healed, get delivered, and be walking right with God, and then look for somebody. Don't do the opposite, because you're only hurting you and the person that you're with
Yeah,
spiritually.
right. Especially, like I said, it's about the growth. If you're dealing with lack communication, if you're dealing with not being on time, if you're dealing with procrastination, if you're dealing with what else? What else? Lust. If you're dealing with
Addiction,
addiction, these are things that we should straighten our lives out before we're talking about being with anyone.
low
How,
self-esteem, insecurity, a lot of those things the people are that a lot of people struggle with.
right? Because I read this thing I have printed out, and it was thing called, I like the mindset, and it said on this patches, it says the woman does just don't want to love her husband. The woman wants to know, can she trust her husband? And I'm going somewhere here. Your actions, our our speech have to match our actions, if that makes sense.
Amen.
Because a woman wants to know, can you be trusted? And vice versa. I want to say that too. But going back to being trustworthy, if I lying, okay, that's another thing too. Lying to yourself. If I say I'm gonna do something and I don't do it, I'm gonna do that person the same way because I do it to myself.
Right.
If I say I'm gonna go to work on time, or I take that back. Let's say if I'm just gonna what's help me out with this one. Just say I'm gonna make my bed up. I'm big. I'm gonna make my bed up today, and I don't do it. I just lied to myself. So if that little thing, that meant I would do that next person. If your person, the person you went said, you say I'm gonna do this person, and I don't do it. That's kind of making me like a liar, right?
Yep.
Because what I learned, and when I'm learning in my own life, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it because I don't want to be. Because even the Bible said we deceive our own selves, and I don't want to. And I used to procrastinate a lot. I used to be a bad procrastinator, and I don't want to do that. I did not want to do that no more because it robs me of everything that I want to do in life. Procrastinating, contemplating,
Mm-hmm.
being in fear. Oh man, fear sucks. Fear is a life killer to me. Life's all about taking challenges. If you're scared to take challenges in life, you're gonna miss out. Even
Right.
the Bible gets us out of our comfort zone. Look
Right.
at Abraham. When God went to Abraham, he told him to leave everything and go to a land I will show you.
Mm-hmm. That's called walking by faith. There should
The
be no fear
disciples,
in faith.
right? The disciples forsake all, Nancy and Carlos, to follow Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible said they forsake all. Today, people can't do that today. They don't want to give up some stuff. They
Nope.
forsake all to follow this man. What they say about us today? Like you said earlier, Carlos, if a person want to drive a Bentley, but they still working at Dollar General places, but I want to drive a Bentley, but what you gonna do to take the necessary steps to drive that Bentley, right? What
Yep.
do you want to say about that?
You there's a lot of things that is gonna, as a man especially, there's gonna be a lot of things, when you're ascending. There's gonna be the devil, there's gonna be bad spirits, Jezebels, however you want to put it.
And
There's gonna be
yourself.
and yourself. Yeah, you are, you can be your own. That's
Own
actually
words the
that's
enemy.
really, we can be a prisoner of our own mind.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I
you
agree.
see very successful people still, dealing with things, and some of it's just amplified because now the camera's on them. I mean, what about all the other people that are? that are not famous, and those are people that I really wanted to speak to. You don't have to be a celebrity, a rapper, a ball player to be able to be successful. I mean, you can have the Bentley, you can have the Toyota Prius, you can have whatever car you want to have, but at the end of the day, you can't be, tricking your money off. You can't be tricking yourself off. You can't not have, you can have the shape, the money, the finances, the relationship with God. It has to start with you. But too many people, nowadays, you know, and like I said, with the proliferation of social media and the access to people, suddenly, temptations is it's just a fingertip away, and we have to work on ourselves, and we have to kind of sometimes sacrifice. Big word, sacrifice. We have to sacrifice in order for us to get the things that we want. But a lot of people, man, they just talk, man. They just get online and say that they're gonna do this and that, and they never do. They never become nothing, and they be like, oh, I could have been this, I could have been that, or I had this, I had that. And I look at people that have had a lot of things, and I study them, and I see what they did, so I don't have to do it. I don't go out to the club with a bunch of guys anymore. I haven't done that in a long time, because a lot of the people that I was around, man, they were not necessarily leeches, but they were not walking the same path, that I was walking. They were not wanting to have the same impact that I was having. They were having a ton of kids. They were doing things that were not going to get you paid. Actually, it was going to
Hmm.
take you, it was going to subtract from them. And I didn't want to be, not necessarily judged, but I didn't want to be around people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right about that because what they say, what is that? Show you your five friends, not say your future, something like that. They say.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. If you hang around four bums, you're gonna be the fifth one. If you hang around four millionaires, you're gonna be the fifth one. You know what I mean?
That's
If you hang around a bunch of leeches, what you think that's gonna make you? You know what I mean?
that's
You
right.
may not necessarily you're gonna be a leech, but I mean, birds of a feather flock together. You
That's
know,
right.
if you're trying to find if you're trying to find a godly woman, a suitable woman to raise a wife, do you think if she's out there in the streets with a bunch of other women, you think that she's going to be a godly woman? Probably not. You know what I mean? But I want to throw the curveball out there too. It could be even in the church. There's not necessarily godly women in the church. It's more about their actions, the vibration, the energy that they put out. So this is not to deter nobody from wanting to look for a woman in the church, but I'm just letting you know. Sometimes the wolves in sheep's clothing, and they can come in any place, anytime.
That's right.
Yeah, they can. And so I was looking at something too. I'm coming out of Proverbs 13:4 says this, and it's talking about a lazy person, and also talking about a person who does work. It said the soul of the sluggard desires and had nothing, but the
Oh,
soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So we see that all the time. The soul of a sluggard, they desire these things, but had nothing. That means them the ones who they dream about these things, they have the desire, but they're not willing to put in the
Put in
work
the work.
to get them things. But it said the diligent of the soul of the diligent should be made fat. And I was putting up that what the meaning of diligent. Diligent is taking responsibility for complete assigned tasks. So that person always, the diligent person is always gonna take responsibility for completing assigned tasks. So that person always gonna have because they all about taking on responsibility. Compared to the slugger, is the one who desire these things but not want to put in the work. Just like I want to lose weight, okay, I have to put in that serious work to lose weight. That means I have to change my eating, the stuff that I eat. I have to work out. That means I have to get out my comfort zone and get out the norm in order for me to get the results I want for my body to
right,
be healthy. You
right,
know what I'm saying? If you want a better job or you want a better career, whatever or you want to start that business, you got to
hmm
take the necessary steps in order to bring it to fruition. You hear a
right,
lot of people, I would say, and I'm not knocking people, I don't want anybody saying it, taking this a long way. I see a lot of people use this word loosely. I'm an entrepreneur.
no, they're
Some of
not.
y'all not
No, they're
even
not.
working. That just, you know
No,
what,
man.
Carlos? That's just a new.
No,
I'm
they're
not.
not.
It's one that putting in work. That's just a new sign for unemployed, because I see a lot of cats
They're content
that
creators. They're yeah. But they don't even got 1,000. Man, come on, bro. Man, look at these pop the balloon shows, man, and you see these women and men talking about they're self-employed or well, what you do. I do taxes, but it's
Oh yeah.
September. I'm like, come on, man. Or I'm a influencer, but they don't even have 10,000 followers. You know what I'm
You're not
saying?
even you're not
You
even
know,
influencing anyone.
nah, man. I think and it doesn't matter in what age in history or what time in history. There's always been versions of influencers or entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurship is the backbone of this great country that we live in. Small businesses. To be a successful business, you're gonna go through some stuff. Um, I think too many times now, since we have news at an instant and instantaneous, I think we so many people chase that dopamine hit of instant gratification. They get the business, they take the courses, they actually start being successful. What's the first thing that they do? They try to keep up with the Joneses. And I'm specifically talking to a lot of black and brown entrepreneurs. We some messed up people sometimes, man. We go and buy the big truck, or we buy to go get the Cadillac, or
We
the
want to
or
floss everything we
want to
got
fly. You know what I mean? And
instead
then
of saving it,
right. Investing. You take your
investing in it.
profit out of your cash flow is the bloodline of your business. Why are you buying something that is going to be a liability? Is going to be a depreciating asset? I'm not saying to not enjoy life, but I know that's how I know a real entrepreneur from a real one. I mean, from a one that's just all talk is because I look at their actions and I see, well, how long you been in business? And they're like a year, and they got a brand new this, a brand new that, and that just tells me something about they're trying to fill a void in their soul, or it might be they're trying to get impress a girl or impress a guy or a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? I look at you look at the tangible things that person does, and I look at how people, how the community around them, if they have a community, because your customers are going to take care of you. I can't. I've had bad customers. I've dropped the ball, and I've had amazing customers that pay dividends for me, and that they attract more clientele for me. So at the end of the day, if you get your first six figures, your first 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 100,000 a month, if it doesn't matter what color you are, please don't go to the club and buy bottles. Please don't do that, man. Please don't go buy a Rolly if it's even real, because a lot of people buy a lot of fake stuff. But and I can go on
but
and on about that, Furman.
but
That's a
but
topic that
I was, but I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad it came up, because when you look at entrepreneurship, they was all about meeting the needs of the community.
right. Absolutely.
Look
Absolutely.
at look at when the pandemic hit and everything was shut down. Look how Jeff Bezos did with Amazon. The stock went up, and then all of that. When you have Amazon, you can have stuff delivered to your house within that same day, within that next day if you have Amazon Prime. But look how he met the need of the people.
Mhm.
Okay, somebody invented DoorDash, Uber, Lyft. Look how they addressed the need
Hmm.
of the people, and it made them millions of dollars.
Mhm.
Real entrepreneurs always look at the need.
Solution.
That's
You're
it.
creating a solution for a populace or a demographic. Absolutely. I mean, the stand that I'm using right now that I'm holding my phone, I got from Amazon. I get a lot of items from Amazon. Um, Maybe this is just a little gold nugget. A lot of the things that I use, my MacBook Pro, my iPad Pro, I got from a pawn shop, man. I put that joker on layaway and paid it off, you know, and I built a relationship with the people that work there. And anytime that they get something like a high end lens, you know, or a camera that, you know, somebody they thought that they were going to be a photographer, they didn't understand what it entails. They sell their equipment. They call me. It's all about entrepreneurship. It's also about building rapport and relationships within your community. Doesn't
Mm.
matter if it's a small town or in DFW or it don't matter anywhere in America. You know, anybody that you connect with, you treat them properly, you communicate with them well, they will take care of you. The community will take care of you. You know what I mean? And there are so many instances of that in the Bible. There are so many instances of that in history where you hear about in these historians that do these stories on the giants or these titans of industry, regardless if it's Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or all these other folks.
Yeah, because they just always met the need. And I noticed that too. A lot of people are doing the exact same thing. You see that a lot too. From insurance, taxes, uh, everybody's doing the same thing. Why?
Because
Monkey
nobody's
see, monkey do.
original. Ain't
They
no
they think
originality. They copycat.
they think that they think that they see a lot of stuff on social media is a facade. It ain't real. That's one. The second thing is a lot of people, they're not financially literate, but they're financially illiterate, excuse me, and they will see it's the hot thing to do. You know,
Right.
it's just like right now, there's a lot of women that are doing estheticians. You know, they want to or doing eyebrows or lashes, but
Mm,
they don't actually have the actual TDLR, you know, paperwork. You know, they just
mm.
take a little course and they think that they can. I mean, like I said, I mean that's a whole nother conversation. But a lot of people they think that oh, I'm gonna go start a lawn care service, and they're gonna go and just buy a mower. I mean, anybody can start a business. Anybody can. That's the cool thing about this country. You know, just file the right paperwork, a DBA. You don't necessarily need an LLC. Make sure that you know put the right things in your head. Go to the SBA, Small Business Administration, or you know find somebody in the community that consult you, pay them, get your stuff properly set up, and man, you off to the races. But you know, a lot of people, brother, they copycat, like the young lady said. They just think that they're gonna get all this money in a couple of months, and that's not reality. That's not realistic.
Right, because you ever go to these meetings, and I went to these meetings before, and they say the same dream: financial freedom, financial freedom. They always say the same thing: financial freedom, financial freedom. You see people, yeah, I work my job, and then I end up letting this go, and I end up doing this business, and it made me certain amount of millions of dollars a year, and I'm living that financial freedom. They say the same thing: financial freedom,
Most of
financial
those
freedom.
companies are pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
Some of them, some of them, not all of them. I think some of those like Amway and Herbalife. I mean, anybody can. I think one thing that I can take away from that is that if you understand team building and sales, if you get down sales, if you master the art of selling, you're gonna do fine. That and if you know like how to the game of money. But a lot of those companies they sell you a dream, and you're gonna be on the Bahamas with your girl, and you're gonna be driving this, or you're gonna have this huge house. The idea is right, but then there's all these. I always tell people
Logistics.
there's all read the fine print. You're gonna be having to
Yeah.
pay X amount per month. You're gonna have to be going to all these meetings. You're gonna have to invest a lot of time, but I mean, you're doing it for somebody else, but I think it's a good prerequisite to really open up your eyes in what it entails to be a business owner, because there's
Yeah.
people that you know don't want to make millions and billions of dollars a year. They just want to make, you know, they just want to pay their bills, man. And I think a lot more people that are out there that not necessarily want to be, you know, multimillionaires. They just want to be able to provide for their family, have a comfortable living, I think those are people that, definitely need to be reached out and need to watch, your show from.
Right, because at the end of the day, Carlos and Nancy, some people, it's entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I'm
Nope.
sorry, it's not for everybody. You have some people just meant to be clients and customers, and now that some
Nothing
people
wrong with
build
that,
their wealth through investments.
right?
They invest their money in different companies, stocks. I like
Hmm.
stocks. I got a couple of accounts myself that I do, and some people build their wealth through that. You know what I'm saying? Because they make their money grow from it.
Hmm.
So I'm one of those who will build mine through stocks and stuff like that as it progresses. But because everybody be on this rat race, everybody on this pleasure rat race. I'm chasing the bag. I'm chasing the bag, but we'll fail it in other areas, just like podcasting. Everybody in their mom got a podcast now, and they talk about the same thing over and over again. The hottest. I'm just saying this. The hottest. This thing. Everybody they talk about the same thing. You can podcast on anything, but I believe when you're podcasting, you should bring some great information,
Absolutely,
some healthy dialogue instead of just
absolutely.
junk. And what it is too, Carlos and Nancy, a lot of people they look for something easy. If that makes sense.
And when it comes to podcasting,
When it comes to not just anything, they look for the next easy thing.
oh,
Just
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, the idea is, like, oh, I'm gonna grow this podcast to 1 million subscribers or listeners, and what ends up happening, they start fighting within themselves. They can't communicate with each other. They don't have good verbal skills. They don't want to be on camera. They don't want to post on social media. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. Man, you got dysfunction. You ain't got no podcast, man. And then they don't want to invest in actual equipment. I mean, you're right. Everybody wants something. It gets high like podcasting. Everybody want to do it, but then the real people that separate themselves from everyone else is just they show up. They're gonna fail. Stay consistent and educate themselves on how to proceed and how to grow their
yeah.
community.
And I'm gonna tell you this too. Man, a lot of people be buying followers, ladies and gentlemen. They got people that can sell you that. Because I get
Yep,
that all the time and I reject it. I'm
don't
saying
Yeah.
do it.
all the people that have all the subscribers, they pay for them. It's not organic.
Or they pay for likes.
Yeah, it's organic. I mean, it's not organic. It's not real. I get that all the time because that's cheating. I
Yeah,
rather
it
get
is
it. I
cheating.
rather I rather pick it up from the mud. When I say pick it up from the mud, I want to get real people to subscribe to our channel
Mm-hmm.
and not just cheating. That's cheating to me. Where I could pay somebody to get the numbers up. That's just cheating. And I can't live with myself like that. But you got people out there doing it. Even they offer that on your Facebook page. Instagram. Oh, Instagram do it too.
Instagram.
Yeah,
All the
Instagram.
platforms are. Hmm.
Yeah. Where you paying these people to get all your likes up and all your subscribers up. To
Mm-hmm.
me personally, that's cheating.
That is cheating.
I mean, there's a lot of.
Cheating
I
going
mean,
on.
no, yeah. I mean that can be applicable to anything. Politics.
Yep.
Work, advancing in a company, you got, your brown noses and snitches. When it comes to social media and people buying followers, I've told a lot of my clients and people that I've come across that, I mean, back in the day, it could completely demonetize your platform on, but there's a double-edged sword because a lot of people don't look at the metrics like that I would. So they see a Instagram page with 100,000 followers, but their posts are only getting 2 and 3 likes. That doesn't make sense to
That doesn't
me.
add up.
That doesn't add up. But to the common person, they're only going to see that person that has 100,000 followers. So unless you're, in social media like I am, or I don't know about y'all. Some people they only see the number. They want to go with the person that's popular. So
Yeah,
I
all the
just
time.
I just see. I just hope that anybody that just listens to this, or if you're gonna go with somebody that's a coach or a brand online that has a huge following, look at the comments. Look at the likes. If they have a million followers, but they only got 10 comments or one like, they bought their following. And I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. There's things between being ethical and just doing a workaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about the algorithm, and it's all about how you put it together.
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
How you
You
put
know,
it together. Go
right.
ahead.
A lot of people want to buy on what's popular, and if you got a ton of followers and you bought them, however much that costs, some people, they just gonna that's just what it is. I can't worry about that. I live in the real world. We all live in the real world. Um, not necessarily your image, reputation, and your image is everything, especially
Oh, it is.
online.
Oh, especially with monetizing hit on social media. A lot of people, and I said somebody made a comment about this too. I seen this the other day. A lot of people have sold their soul to get monetized, especially on social media, especially on Facebook and other major
What
platforms. Because
what? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, sorry.
so what they were saying when they were saying is how they lower their standards. Like in order for you to make the money, quote unquote, you have to put yourself out there put yourself out there naked, basically.
Mm.
Sex sells, brother. Sex sells at the end of the day. That's what the world that we live in. It's unfortunate. Um, that's not something that I really subscribe to, but I mean I understand it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's just one of those things. It's not something that I recommend, but I mean it's just one of those. I'm not being liberal about it. It's just sex sells, and
Yeah,
that's just
because a
how.
lot of people have switched up their styles.
Yeah,
It's like,
got to be
okay,
sexy.
I'm not getting the money that I'm looking for. So they allow social media, like you said earlier, social media to influence them. So now I need to
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
show this, show that. And you notice they're doing the exact same thing over and over again. And they be going viral, or they do stupid stuff to go viral.
Yep.
But if you put some out positive, you're not gonna get shown.
Nope.
You may have some people that will follow positivity, but if you're all about the fighting, the bickering, the arguing,
Drama.
drama, people love that.
Exactly.
That's why they
Controversy
be.
sells, brother. I
Yeah,
mean, that we're a destructive species, man. We've been trying to kill each other since the beginning of time. People, I mean, look at tabloids. You look at TMZ. You know what I mean? People are women in the soap operas. No offense, ladies. I'm just saying it's just one of them things that it's kind of like look at the things that we are watching. Look at the things like I go back to what if you're an entrepreneur. I mean, eh, I love going to the movies and I love watching The Walking Dead. There's a lot of killing in that, not necessarily nudity, but it's just I know that it's just a TV show, and because of my background, I enjoy the cinematography and the
okay,
audio and all things like that. You know what I mean? But
right.
I don't I just I completely agree with you. I don't think it's right that you have to reduce yourself, demean yourself in order to become monetized.
Well, yeah, 'cause they sell they sold for $1.
What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Yeah, they gain $1. That's what it is. And you gotta tell people whatever you decide to do, just stay consistent with it. And think about it, you gonna get more views than anybody actually commenting on your stuff. You see that all the time too. People are always viewing your stuff because they gonna let you know how many people are viewing your stuff as we speak right now.
Right.
So I tell anybody, man, just stay consistent. Don't get so caught up in numbers. Perfect your
Don't worry about
product.
being popular. Just do what God tells you to do.
Yeah, perfect your product, cultivate your products, be a student of the game, perfect your craft. That's all you have to do. the money gonna come. All you have to do is put in the work, study, research. All that money is going. The money will come. I tell anybody that the money will
Seek
come,
first the kingdom of God.
and it's right, and everything else gonna be added. So
That's right.
just
That's the
work on your
motto.
skills. Yeah, just work on your skills, perfect your craft. You know what I'm saying? Like all athletes, they comes to working on their skills. Every artist working on their skills.
No,
Um, if you're in media, working on your skills, the money gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gotta chase. I gotta get this bag, man. Just working your skills, and the one that chasing the bag ain't even working on their skills.
no, and then when they're working on their bag, when they're trying to get the bag, they don't even have. They have crappy credit. They have no real savings. They just in a rat race, as you said, of this vicious cycle. They're consumers. They're just spend, 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 spend. They don't keep nothing. They don't keep none of their money. They don't end up owning anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
own labels and a depreciating car with a huge car note. You know what I mean? And they don't necessarily take the
Save.
time to educate themselves on how to keep some of that money when you're chasing that bag. Because I mean, you
Amen.
can't you can't chase that bag all the time. You can't be chasing the bag when you sleep. You're really making the money when you sleep, like doing
If you
e-commerce
investing it, you
or
making money.
investing it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah, cause
right.
you gotta make your money grow. Like I said, I'm an advocate for that. Put in money in accounts that's gonna make you money. Because people don't even deal with banks because your money not gonna grow in the bank anyway. They take your money and invest it anyway.
They invested anyway.
Yeah, so basically that's what that was a lot of the millionaires do. They believe in making their money work for them. And that's what the
Absolutely.
rich they always finding ways to accumulate. Like you said, the average person, they wanna okay, if you made $1,000 in profit, you gonna take and put it right back in your business. You don't go and take it and spend it for what? When you in the first stage of business, you gonna reinvest because you gotta buy the supplies and
You got to scale. You got to scale. You gotta reinvest in your company. You gotta reinvest in your brand. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta, I mean, a bunch of different things. There's a lot of steps. I think you brought up a good point. Earlier when my phone, I wanted to comment. Especially when you're in a relationship, and I don't mean necessarily just like boyfriend girlfriend. The relationships that you have with bankers, the relationships that you have with your customers, the relationships that you have with God, with yourself, you got to
Mm-hmm.
have that's the most important thing because you got to live with yourself. You got to
That's
wake up
right.
every day and brush your teeth and look at yourself. And if you're happy where you are, then hey, that's more power to you. I'm not. I'm happy and content, but I desire. Have this innate drive to be successful. I've had a lot of money and I've had no money, so I've been on both sides of the fence. I want to be where my mom don't got to work no more, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that the same way. I want to be able to, help my family, etc. But then more importantly, I just want to help my fellow man at the end of the day as well.
right. Because I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke, busted, disgusted, can't be trusted. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't want to. I don't want to go from paycheck to paycheck, and I sure as heck don't want to struggle with nobody. If I'm a struggle, I'm
No,
not gonna struggle with nobody. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna put
no,
myself in that situation. A lot of people do that. I'm not finna be broke, busted, and disgusted, and I'm not finna be with nobody who's like that either. I'm because what's been stalling me is the work, grind, especially as a man. Work, grind, hustle. God made us to work. God did not intend for us to be lazy. And I said a lot of cats are so freaking lazy. And I see these women putting in work more than I see these guys putting in work.
that's crazy.
Back in the day, a man used to go out there and work some sun up, sundown. These people now don't want to work. They
And we see a
But
lot of women taking care of men that are not doing anything.
they got them.
that's a whole nother conversation right there, sister.
So what it is,
That is a whole
but
that's
that's
a
that's a
whole other
woman that got
discussion.
low self esteem. She don't care. She just got low self esteem, and she don't care. She's got anybody. But I'm not gonna be broke with nobody, and I'm don't have no leeches in your life, ladies and gentlemen. And fellas, stop leading with your wallet. That's another thing. Stop leading with your wallet. You're gonna draw the wrong person in. They're gonna take everything you got.
Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, is he watching? I'm sorry, I just had to say Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter.
You know
Boy,
what?
woo.
I had a conversation with, okay, young guy, but you can do what you want to do at the end of the day. Guys that are coming into their 20s and they're young,
Mm-hmm.
them the time that you should be able to enjoy your time in your 20s, learn yourself, learn who you are
Heal.
before you take on the role of being a husband. That's why I believe, because according to scripture, Isaac didn't get married till he was 40 years old. See, because the world put limits on age. Like
Right,
when you're
right.
40 years old, that's when you fully develop, because you had that experience under your belt and you're fully developed. Marriage is only for too much. I'm not a fan of big wedding. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do a big wedding. I'm not a fan of big weddings. People that do big weddings, to me, them the only ones that end up in
It's a waste
divorce.
of money.
Because
For what?
That's for the woman. That's what. That ain't
For
for the man.
what? When you
uh,
can be using that money to go on vacation, you can be using that money to save for a
A
house.
buy a
house.
house, like I said, because I had a conversation with somebody. They argued me tooth and nail about this. They were like, "Why would you deprive your wife from that?" I said, "I'm not doing a wedding. We could go to the courthouse, because at the end of the day, she gonna think like I'm thinking. She gonna say, "Babe, we ain't gotta spend money on a wedding for what? We can take that money and we can invest in our future."
That's
Now,
right.
when we like
That's a
got some
good woman.
years in the when we got some years in the game, when I say some years in the game, yeah, we could do a wedding because we'll renew our vows, and then we can have a big
Yeah.
lavish
10 years,
wedding.
5 years.
Yeah, 10 year, 5 year, then we'll do a wedding because we just renewing our vows. But in the beginning stage, we're building our kingdom, we're building our empire. Because some women, Nancy, don't even want to have a big wedding. They'll say, we just go to the courthouse and we building. You know what I'm saying? Go
I
ahead, Carl.
think,
We would.
and I was gonna say, man, you hit the nail on the head, fellas, and because I can only speak for the fellas on this one. If you meet a woman that don't give a damn about money, that don't give a damn about having this ostentatious wedding, the $50,000 ring, and you better hold on to her, man, because they don't make like there's not too many like them out there anymore.
They
You know what I
scatter.
mean? That's unicorn. I was gonna say and there's studies done from a sociologist and counselors. The more you spend on the wedding ring, the less likely that your marriage is gonna endure. The more you spend on it on the ring, not necessarily the ceremony or the party or the actual wedding, the ring, just the ring. The more you spend on the
Boy,
ring,
mm,
the more you spend on the ring, the less likely that your marriage is gonna last.
I'm good with that. If it looks good, if it's from Walmart, I'm good with it.
He said, you good
I
with
really
it.
don't care where it's from, and it's cheap, but it looks good. That's it. You got me.
Just take care of it. I mean, just take it, because at the end of the day, I'm like this.
Cares about the ring?
It's
Some
it's
people do,
me.
man. So some people do. Some women gotta have that 5 carats because they gotta show off to their mama, their friends, their aunties. That I mean, it's just like I said, it's a vicious cycle amongst groups of women in
Yeah.
families in the workplace. They get married, they get pressured. You know, some women they want to have a car, they gotta have the baby, they gotta have everything. Society tells them they gotta have all this stuff by a certain age, and we don't live necessarily in those times anymore with the
No.
advancement of science. And I mean, there's people that's having their kids in their 40s. I mean, I know it's a risk for a geriatric pregnancy, but my
Hmm.
point is there shouldn't be a pressure on how much on a ring, how much pressure on getting married, pressure on having children, pressure buying a house. Society just consumes us. Like I said, we live in a
Materialism,
capitalism.
basically.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Right, Cavaliers. A big shout out to Miss D. She said, "Me either. We married courthouse. We use that amount, paid off mortgage, burning the note soon. Some still focus on the
Oh, that's a
streets.
good.
Gotta
That's
be
a
one
good. That's
accord."
some great. That's great. That's you
Yeah,
do got to be
because
on.
it takes. That's why you got to talk about these things in the beginning before entering into matrimony. Okay, we got to talk about getting our credit straight. These are things we need
Hmm.
to talk about. Okay, we need to work on getting our credit straight. We want to have a nice house. We need to work on getting our credit. How we are with money. And these are things you need to talk about. If you're not good at saving money, okay, this time for you to learn how to save money. Put yourself on a
Hmm.
budget. You got to get. I look at marriage as a business. I don't care what nobody say. Marriage to me is a business. All that, it's not
It
all
is
about
a
romance.
business.
It's not about romance. See, that's another thing too, Carlos. And them, they push romance, 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 romance. It's not all about romance.
Boy,
Romance is part of it. But then when I say that, people think that I'm cold and I'm heartless and I
nah.
won't love her. I do. I will love her.
Boy, you about to bring the preacher out of me on that topic, man.
But
Because
somebody,
boy,
but
Bring
somebody got
it.
no. But somebody questioned me about that. They make it feel like I won't love her at all. Love is part of it. I would love her. Loving her is me respecting her, doing what I'm supposed to do as a man. I would love her, but it's not all about romance, romance, romance. But somebody would make it seem like I won't love her because I said marriage is a business to me.
love is an action word. Love is an action word. You have a duty to your wife, to your household, to yourself. If you can't lead yourself, how are you going to expect to lead anybody
How you
else?
gonna lead anybody else?
If you lead yourself to destruction, what do you think you're going to do to your wife and your
She
children and
ain't
your
gonna
family?
follow you if you on the road to
Nah, you know what I
destruction.
mean? But on the flip side, if you have a lot of income, sometimes and if you don't have that income set with God or a higher power, because there's many other religions in the world,
Yeah.
what do you think where that's going to go? The more money, more problems. Look at what's going on in the world. I mean, you got to just turn on the TV, look at the trial of Puff,
He did
you
he.
know, Diddy and all the baby oil, and I can go on and on. Boy, that's a crazy one right there. But
Too much power, too much money, and at the
right,
end,
right,
look
right.
where you at.
So
Look
you
where
gotta
you
you
at.
gotta have you gotta be equally yoked, and you gotta be on an equilibrium and being balanced. You know what I mean? Because I know from my personal experience, man, I had not followed my own advice. I've done a lot of wrong in my life, and I've done a lot of good. But you can't do the wrong in your life and then not come back onto you, regardless if you believe in karma or if you believe in achieving a higher vibrational state or mindset. But marriage, man, like marriage is a business at the end of the day. I mean, it's point blank period. I don't know how people may feel about that, but you're not
Some
being
people,
cold. You're not being
but
cold.
some right because some people look at it as, like I said, this lady, she argued me about that, and she was like, then she said, "That's your problem. You stuck in your ways." No, I'm not stuck in my ways because the person I meet gonna think the same way. They gonna say we don't have a lavish wedding. We could
We
take this money and invest in our future.
You should have asked her, you gonna date if they're single, you're gonna marry a broke man? And they were like, no. Like you're gonna date a man not on his purpose? No. Are you gonna date a man that doesn't know how to pleasure you in the bedroom? No. Then at the end of the day, then let me work on myself, and then we create this union under God, and we got to do what we got to do, and what have you. But the business part is when you invite the state into your union. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
when, for me, that's when it becomes monetized capitalism. That's all business at the end of the day. That's
Right,
that's
because
that's that's business 101.
yeah, because at the end, because if some God forbid if something happened to you, she's entitled to whatever.
Right.
Especially if you have a
Absolutely.
life insurance, like have a life insurance. I got life insurance policy in place. So when I do get married, God forbid something do happen. If God forbid something happen, should be taken care of. That's
And hope
business.
and hopefully
The
nobody
church.
starts a GoFundMe. Get a life
Yeah,
insurance
man, we're
policy,
not
people.
doing that, man. Y'all out there listening tonight. Get a life insurance. Well, you gotta be careful. Life insurance. You make sure you find somebody who's good at life insurance policy
Explains it to
and
you
won't mess you
properly.
up. Explain it to you properly. Um, get a life insurance policy. Get an emergency fund going on. And fellas, improve your finances as well. Put yourself on a budget. If you're single, start doing those things now. Start learning to be married to yourself first, ladies. If you're single, be married to yourself first. Learn you.
Mhm.
Ki- Date you. Marry you first, fellas. Marry yourself first. Fix yourself up. If you know your money looking funny, you need to work on that. That's just me. I mean,
Nancy, Nancy, I'm asking you, what is something that while we're on this conversation, what is something? Are you? I'm sorry, this is our first time speaking. Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Have you ever been married?
Yes,
How long were you married for?
10 years.
That's a long time. Yeah. That I mean, seriously, because people get married and get divorced like literally the next year. It's craziness. What would you get married again?
Of course.
What is a prerequisite that you would see now that you've gone through a first marriage? What is a prerequisite that you would see in your next that you would need from your next husband? What are a couple of
He's
things?
got to
So
have a relationship with the Lord, first off.
okay,
Second,
absolutely.
he's worked on himself. He's worked on his budget. He's worked on the areas that he needs to, and that's it. But most important thing, the number one thing I'm looking for is Jesus,
Good,
because without
good.
him, everything fails. No relationship will be good without the Lord in it. It's just gonna crumble. So that's
You
my
So,
gotta have
request.
you gotta
so
have
you
something
know,
higher than yourself.
Yeah,
so in other words, someone who's actually living the life and not just talking about the life,
yeah. Who's walking the walk and talking
right?
the talk, not just talking and not doing. He's got to
Right,
be a doer of the word.
and not just to hear on deceiving your own self, but bearing the fruits of the spirit.
Yep.
Yeah, because work on yourself is very important. Work on your mentally, your spiritual, just working yourself, invest in yourself, and that's what it is. You're, where you should be fully complete, where I could meet another complete person
Exactly. You should be
instead of
healed, delivered, and walking with the Lord when I meet you.
I.
Man, that you just said a mouthful. What did you just say?
You should be healed, delivered, and walking with the Lord when I meet you.
Man, that's a zinger right there. That needs to go on a shirt. You need a you need a patent that. No, I mean, and I'm genuinely. There is so many people that are broken. I was one of those people. I,
I
I, I
was
was one
too,
of
so
those
I
people.
know.
I was a broken person getting into relationships and trying to find love in the wrong places, and thinking that a relationship was gonna fix me, and
Hmm.
I
It
had
is
to I
not.
had to almost leave this planet, this Earth, in order to really like okay, I gotta change some things because the path that I was going
Hmm.
it was gonna kill me. I mean, it,
Yeah.
it literally was gonna kill me. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
I think. Go ahead.
no, y'all go and finish talking. Y'all finish talking. Go ahead, finish.
No, I was gonna say that you said something too that Nancy, and something that I've came across so many podcasts that I've been on and that I've watched, and this whole thing of and maybe I'm gonna catch some flack from fellas, but um, you said, a man working on his budget, working on his finances. There's so many men that when you mention that, automatically they say that that you're a gold digger, and I don't understand where the basis of this that thought process came from.
Right.
Like how can she be a gold digger if you ain't got nothing if you ain't got no damn
You ain't.
gold?
You ain't
You see
exact.
what
You
I'm
ain't got
saying?
nothing to offer. What are you
Right.
offering?
Like if you're working at Taco Bell, which is nothing wrong. If you're working at
As
Taco
long as you
Bell,
have a job and you're working yourself to
right? Like
your
I
finances
don't
and
get that.
budgeting and
Like fellas, you're gonna miss out on a really good woman thinking that she's trying to get out to get you.
no.
If you ain't got no assets, if you don't even own your car or a house or a property, or if you have a large inheritance, what gold? All the woman is asking is for you to be, financially stable at least. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Don't have no gap. I mean, I I was a gambler for a long time. I'd go to casinos, spend a little bit of money, but I spent the money that I could afford to spend. I wouldn't spend
Right.
my bill money, my rent money. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
That
I
just
I just
stupid.
I just want I just quote that's a conversation that more of these larger podcasts need to have, because the way the social media verse has it is man and woman, and we
Oh
need each
yeah,
other, man. We
we
we need
do.
each other. We I
We
don't
do.
I mean I can go on and on and on and on and on about that, but fellas, you can't if you ain't got no damn gold. Why are you calling a woman a gold digger? You know what I'm saying? But like you
Well,
said, Furman, if you leading with your wallet, if that's all she knows you as is an ATM, you can't complain for how a woman treats you.
Right.
And also, I'm gonna let them know a little secret too, for I learn along the way. Man, let me tell you something. If that woman's into you, you ain't gotta leave with your wallet.
Nope.
Nope.
Only reason why she leave with your wallet because she don't see you in that. She don't see a woman wants to be romantically linked to that person. If they don't see you in that light, they're not gonna give you the time of day. All this stuff they telling you
Uh,
to go to the gym, get your body right. Some women not into muscular guys. Some women like heavyset guys. Everybody has different taste. Like guys, some guys don't like athletic built women. Some guys like BB, what they call them, BBW, something like that.
BBWs.
Everybody has different tastes.
Yeah.
If you go to the gym, you do it for you. If you want a
Absolutely.
nice house, you want a nice car, do it for you. Don't
Absolutely.
do it to get someone's attention because that person may not see you in that light.
Nope. That's how you get the okey doke.
Yep.
Everybody may talk about, look at Will Smith. Look what he okay. Look at Will Smith. Look at Michael B. Jordan. They went through all this stuff. They got all this stuff together, but they could be lacking. So go ahead. What you want to say?
Now, I was gonna say a lot of people when they quote celebrities, they have to understand that just the general common person every day.
That's
These
it.
people are multi-millionaires. They live their lives in the spotlight. Will grew up on camera. Michael B.
Yeah.
Jordan has grown up on camera, but they make a lot of money. Their lives are completely different than ours. A lot of people got to understand that people that make a lot of money, very wealthy people, live in a completely different reality than a
Mm.
lot of than you and I. I don't know if people really grasp that concept that people that make there's a difference between a person that makes $100 million a year, and there's a difference between a person that makes $1 billion a year. That's astronomical. From 100 million to $1 billion, it's still a huge gap, and I want people to become a little not necessarily more humble, but just come down to earth, and look at your left and your right. If you don't know any Will Smiths, if you don't know any Michael B. Jordans, they're great, phenomenal actors. I love Sinners was a great movie. He played the two different characters, and it's the same, just phenomenal acting. Michael B. Jordan, but we put Ten
Actors
Commandments.
and
Uh,
athletes.
don't we should not idolize. I mean, it's cool, if you want to aspire to be them, to win an Academy Award or slap Chris Rock every now and then. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how you look at it. But I don't think it's healthy for the everyday common person that goes to work from 9 to 5 to idolize almost on a godlike level of athletes and entrepreneurs, or these people that you see on TV. I don't think it's healthy. I think it leads to problems within yourself, your relationship. You have these children that look at these people online, and like you were saying, they got to show skin. I don't want my daughter to emulate a Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion, which I don't have a problem with them, but I'm a grown man. I can make my choices. You know what I'm saying? So I just that's just something that I've always I never understood why people idolize these entertainers, these celebrities. So I don't
But
get
you
it.
know what? They got it in the mud like anybody else. They just human beings like me, like us.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
got
they
to pay
just
taxes.
yeah, they just got in the mud. That's all they did. They just put in the work. That's all they did. And what it is, we look up. A lot of people look up to the entertainers, these athletes, because they don't believe in themselves. They don't value themselves enough. That hey, I am somebody. I am. No, God created me, and you are somebody. You know what I'm saying? We don't we look at ourselves like that. If you go on Instagram right now, look how many followers all these celebrities got, athletes got. And people want that, but they just did what everybody else did. They just put
Mhm.
in the work. They invest in themselves. You can do the same thing yourself if you want it enough. If you want to, like Instagram just tells stories with pictures. If you really want your Instagram to be on point, take you some good pictures. Do some creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Invest in your wardrobe and your image.
Envision wardrobe and image. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
Another thing is writing your post. Man, grammar is everything, ladies and gentlemen. Grammar is everything. Grammar can tell the type of person you are.
yeah, and there's free services on Facebook and on Insta. Well, I don't know. I can't recall if it's on Instagram. Some more on Facebook, but Meta AI helps you write your posts for you. It's free. You know, you shouldn't be having. You shouldn't be. You know, a grown man looking like you have a second grade education or reading comprehension. Now, I understand if you have. You know, but that's a whole other epidemic. That's an episode within of itself. Is
You,
you know, you have so many people that cannot read, but going back to these posts, you can use Grammarly. You can use on LinkedIn that it has an AI assistant to help you write.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
I use that right
Exactly.
now. Man, I use AI right now. I got an app on my phone to enhance when we go to do show. That's why I use. So if you in the media business, ladies and gentlemen, utilize AI, especially if you're in media, podcasting, live stream, whatever the case. Man, utilize these tools. They are free tools. Utilize them. It helps you out. It helps enhances your brand. It helps enhances your
Absolutely.
business. So
Absolutely.
I utilize it. I'm not ashamed to say it. I utilize it. I utilize when we promote these shows. I utilize it
Mm-hmm.
because it helps out the algorithm. It helps out the show. Like, oh, well, I need to check that out. Oh, I need to check that out. It helps you. So there is no
Tools.
excuse. Tools. Utilize these
The
tools
tools.
that have been presented to us. It's convenience now. Because grammar is everything. Man, if you want to take some great pictures, man, get you in the photography, get your professional photographer. You are your brand.
Invest in a good camera.
Invest, yeah. Or if you don't invest, see that's the thing about it. Some people don't want to invest their money. People want stuff for free. Why did I take that back? I won't say people.
Man,
Individuals
that
want stuff for free.
man.
They don't want to pay for
Yeah.
nothing.
No,
Man,
they don't.
if you work in your job, if you work in the 9 to 5, and they offer you
More
overtime,
like Christians want things for free.
say that again, Nancy.
Like a lot of Christians want things for free.
Oh man, I seen it all the time too. They'll use that God stuff to play in your emotions. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. They'll do that for real. But
You know, I know.
there is no excuse if you really want to invest in yourself. Like if your job offer unlimited overtime, man, take advantage of
Boy, you
that
better get that
overtime.
OT.
Take
You better
advantage of
get that OT.
overtime. Use
Man.
that overtime money to invest in your business. Use that overtime money. There is no excuses. They got DoorDash, they got Uber Eats, they got Lyft. There's no excuse for you not get out here and
And
make
they're always
money.
hiring. So
But see, yeah, there is no excuses to invest in your brand. Like you said, photography. That's my next phase because I really want to enhance my IG account with great pictures, great graphics, because it's taking it to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Professional pictures, paying for it. So that's where I'm going towards. You got to put your money where your mouth is. They hate to hear that word invest. You got to invest in yourself. All these celebrities, they invested in themselves.
You got to spend money to make money. You got to
Yeah.
make. You got to spend thousands to make 10,000. You got to spend 10,000 to make 100,000. You got to spend 100,000 to make millions. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You know what I mean? So, if you go to Starbucks every day and you spend $5.47, I know because that's the drink I used to have. That's what almost $30.
A week?
That's over $30 a week.
Mm.
That's $130 a month. That's over a
Cut
thousand
down on your
dollars.
coffee and invest it in something else.
Right, absolutely. You say, "Oh, I can't afford to go on a trip to New York," but you're sitting there going to the club buying shots every weekend. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, bro. You know, I don't be around people like that no more. You know what I mean? You can't be successful, without investing time, money, mentorship. I mean, I can go on and on and on. That I can't. I can't I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
You have to invest into something in order to get to the next level.
Yeah, because Miss D said this is a great convo. Let me know when part two is up.
You got to
Yeah.
sacrifice in order to, get to the goal.
But what are you
And that's another.
sacrificing for? That's what I tell a lot of people. What are you sacrificing for? What are you what's the point of sacrifice? Do you even know why you're sacrificing your time for? A lot of people, have these goals but have no plan. That
Mm.
I wanna have I want to pay off my debt. Okay, how are you gonna do it? What are you gonna
What's the
sacrifice?
plan?
What's the plan?
What are you going to
It's
cut out of your budget so that you can get this done?
Makes
it's a
sense.
goal. I can't remember exactly the quote that Denzel or Denzel, however you want to say his name nowadays.
Denzel?
I've been saying Denzel my entire life, and come to find out it's actually Denzel. But hey, he said that goals and dreams without, I think it was action, are just wasted thoughts. And I was like, I mean, it's such a simple statement, but it's so profound. I mean, if you want to go to the NFL, if you want to be a CEO, if you want to be a singer, if you, not everybody's going to make it though. A lot of people don't realize that, the sacrifices that you make in order to get
Right.
ahead, you're going to be in a lot better space than you were when you first initially started. Sure, you didn't make it to, you didn't make it in the 6 or 7 rounds of the NFL draft. Maybe, try walking on. If you want something bad enough, man, you're going to make a way.
You got to put in the work. That's just confirmation. Once you put your mind to something, once you become serious, like I said,
Hmm.
once you become serious, that's when God start lining everything up for you. Once you become serious,
Right.
Absolutely.
once you become serious, and I'm not telling what I know. I'm not telling what I heard. I'm telling you what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Once you become serious, God will start lining up everything for you. You ain't gotta work as hard. You ain't gotta stretch yourself out. He will start lining up everything for, like when I made this transition from Mobile all the way to Dallas, Texas back in 2020. He just, once I became serious about this move, he started lining up everything for me. I didn't have to
That's what's
struggle.
up.
He provided the
That's
money
what's
for
up.
me. I already had a place already in place for me, even before I even moved here. Because once I became serious, he started lining up everything for me. He made everything so convenient. He made everything so easy for me. I ain't have to. I ain't have to struggle. I ain't have to be without, because he always gonna make a way once you become serious. That's
Yep.
like once you stop, once you become like sinning, once you become serious of not sinning, he'll start taking away those addictions from you once you become serious.
Yeah. Once you make him your priority, everything else will follow. Everything will line up. Everything will go into place, and he'll help you.
Right. And if you desire to have a wife, and if you know you're doing some freaky things, you, and you need to get rid of those things, you had these different weird fetishes and stuff like that, get rid of those things, because your wife is not going to come into place if you still have these freaky
All right,
fetishes.
you can have the fetishes, man. You just make sure you get them with the right person.
Well, make sure you're not you playing. Make sure you're not playing with the other sport.
I think I think it's one of those things. Just like if I come over your house and I find a lot of baby oil, I might have to, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm playing, but I think it's important to really realize compatibility in business. I'm not good. I'm not for everyone in relationships or in partnerships and working together with people. You have to find the right synergy. A lot of people don't understand, like, they really want to take, for example, you're looking for a job, and there's a job that you really really want, but then you didn't get it, and then you get the disparity. But maybe there's a greener pasture. A lot of people get upset because, man, that was like the job of my dreams, not knowing that God has something a lot better in store for you. You gotta, you got the degree, you got the great resume, you got the great networking, but I think too many people give up so early. Sometimes it takes a long time to get onto a great job, regardless of whatever it may be, and so many people, give up and they break and it hurts me I see so many people, want something so bad and it inspires me. But then there's people that won't even. Oh man, I don't want to work. They got a job at Taco Bell. Like they didn't have no job. They won't even ride the bus to get to the job, and it's cheap. They rather not go to work than ride the bus because they got too much pride in
Oh
riding
no.
public transportation. I know a lot of people like that still to this day. Still to this day, they won't ride a bike. They won't walk. They're like, I ain't about to ride no public. I ain't about to ride no bus. I'm like, why not? It's $1, $2.
Right.
Well, and they'll make every excuse in the book because
Free
I ain't.
AC.
Yeah, you man, ain't no girl about the. You ain't. Don't worry about no women, bro. You ain't got no money.
You need this job.
Yeah, you need to get your stuff together in order to ascend and get yourself together. But so many people, so many people get shamed. Hey, you know that you like going out in the outdoors. You like, you like going out camping. You got to find a middle ground. You got to go. I mean, I ain't about to go glamping. I'll pitch my tent and sleep on my in my sleeping bag. But you got to find the right mixture of things. And a lot of people. Some people just don't mix. They're oil and water. They say opposites attract. Not necessarily. I mean, it's just the people that you can do the good and bad with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
because I'm really like at the end of the day, when we were talking about earlier, it's all about the business aspect. When two people come together, we're not coming together just to be coming together. It's
Nah,
purpose, it's
right.
vision, it's all about legacy. And it's all about building our kingdom and our empire and protecting it at all costs. It's not about pleasure, it's purpose driven. That's why it takes for you to
Absolutely.
anybody to be with the right individual to make this thing work. Because if you basing everything on the flesh, no good thing come out the flesh. It's purpose while we together. It's vision while we together. Without a vision, people when we got and this is a
Perish.
concept that we have to practice, fairs and the concept of we even though we in the world, we're not gonna move like the world. We're gonna be different from the world.
Hmm.
We're not gonna allow society to dictate who we are. We know who we are. And as and like you mentioned earlier, Carlos, it's all about that comparability. It's women and that guy they come together, they think just like that. Hey, it's about purpose, it's about legacy. You know what I'm saying? When you come together, we're gonna talk about okay, where we gonna live, or we gonna buy a house, or we gonna rent a house, or we gonna build one from the ground up. This thing we have to talk about when it comes to having children. Are we gonna be more hands-on when it comes to the education? These are things we have to talk about. Uh, to
Man,
retirement, you gotta talk about that
you
stuff
bringing
too.
up so many valid points. A lot of
We don't
people.
talk about this. Let me say, I was married before, and I never talked about these things until I learned these things. Marriage is not about pleasure, and I learned that. Not tell you the truth. I wish I never got married earlier on in life. That just I wish I never did that because I had to learn who I
Amen.
was, and I'm still learning who I am.
Absolutely.
Because we don't think about that. We think about, oh man, she looks good. I just want no. It's purpose behind that. It has to. It's not all about emotions.
Right.
It's about logic and it's about principles because we don't think about these things. We don't talk about where we're gonna live at. We don't even talk about how we're gonna handle our finances. We're not talking about how we're gonna raise our kids. We don't talk about it. And a lot of people go into these marriages, don't talk about these things. They go in, well, she looks good, he looks good. And it costs a lot of money to have kids. That's another thing too.
Right.
Children cost money.
You
So
sure
you
do.
got to ask, okay, we need if we talking about having a big family, okay, now we need to increase our
Income.
salary, income. Children are not cheap.
No, I mean
No,
you
not.
have you have people that. They just do. I mean, I'm a doer, you know. But when it comes to stuff like that, I had kids young, and I'm paying child support, and I didn't pay a lot of money already, you know. I wasn't the best father. I can admit that, you know. It takes a lot to admit things like that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I think with time and grace, and I don't have no relationship, you know, with my son currently. um, I've tried, you know, to do the things that I have to do. I can only speak from my experiences, but I've had enough people in my life that have been married, divorced, or widowed. I think so many, a lot of, like you said, Furman, people, women focus so much on the wedding and then they forget to be wives. It's like they got there, they got to the finish race, and they're like, "What do I do now?" You know what I mean? And then men, they think with the wrong head, and they look at them buns in that dress, and like, yeah. But then you 5 years in, 2 kids, it's her body's not gonna be the same. You know what I'm saying? Your relationship may not necessarily be the same. You gotta work at it. It's a muscle. You gotta
Yeah.
continually work on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
And
that's not necessarily just in marriage because I've never been married, so I necessarily can't speak on it. But I mean, you still got to communicate. You know what I mean?
you got to, because it takes work and being consistent, you know, and taking that work, because we're evolving, we gonna grow, and we gonna learn new information, and we gonna learn new things. And also, I tell anybody, especially when you with someone, your wife, she has a voice too. You know what I'm saying? We talk
Absolutely.
about teamwork, and teamwork make the dream work. We work together as a team.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make decisions on our own. We're gonna talk about before we make any decision when it comes to things to the family. You know,
Equally yoked.
especially if you have someone who asks to borrow money, and you say, "Hey, well, let me see and let me talk to my wife first." So that's what I believe in,
Man, man,
because
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
don't want to take nothing, because I don't want to be disrespectful,
Yeah.
because we work together, because or vice
It's a you
versa.
because y'all
Is
won. So yeah, you gotta make sure she's okay with it.
And see,
yeah,
that's something that I have to even even currently. That's something that I have struggled with so bad when I talk to my friends that are married, and well, I gotta ask my wife, and I'm like, bro, you the man. What you mean you gotta ask your wife? Like, did she? I mean, I get I
Out of
understand it.
respect, it's a level of respect because y'all
I
are
think for me, I think because I grew up, you know, I'm Mexican, and my dad passed away. I think absolutely the man and woman should have you know, equally have the voice. But I don't know if it's just maybe because of the way I was brought up. There are certain things that I'm gonna run by my, if and when I ever get married, by my wife. But if you are it doesn't matter if you're the breadwinner, if you're an expert in that subject or that's what you do for a living. I mean, I'm gonna ask my old lady, you know, her opinion. I'm gonna ask her what she thinks about it. But I think there has been a pandemic of so many men that forget to be men, and they don't have any more backbone or spine. So again, I ain't never been married, but there's certain things that I don't have to necessarily ask my wife about because I'm the leader. If she didn't trust me, then why did she marry me? Now, again, I ain't never been married, but I'd be damned if I always got to ask my wife for every and anything. There's no point. You got to have trust and stuff. Now, I'm not going to buy a house without talking to, you know, obviously making a huge, you know, financial decision like that. But, you know, she looks up to me to be the leader. You know, sometimes, you know, I mean, again, and I might just be talking out the side of my neck, and some people may not agree with me, but I don't think I don't think some women, or excuse me, I think some women genuinely want men to be men and be leaders, and then there's a lot of men in current relationships or marriages that are not leaders. So
Yeah, because a lot of them not like that. But what I was not like that because what I was, because I believe in honesty,
right,
and I'm not gonna lie to her. If I'm gonna do something, I'm let her know what I'm gonna do. That's just the honesty because I had to treat myself. They said what they say. Um, treat yourself how you want to be treated. It's like I
right,
don't want to. If I don't want her to hide nothing from me, I'm not gonna hide nothing from her because I don't want them to do me like that. If that makes sense.
Totally
absolutely.
makes sense.
Because I'm gonna be honest. If I'm gonna do something, I'm not finna sit and hide. Because if it's just gonna find you out, because
Yep.
she go to the bank account and she sees something missing, she gonna quit. She gonna ask like, "What happened?"
She gonna see it and then she gonna ask you, so what'd you do today?
But he
I
let
went
And she
gambling.
waiting for the response to see if you're gonna tell her the truth.
Yeah, like I said, that's what I look at it is like communication is key. Like, don't hide. Because I hear people. Because I had a conversation with a guy, and it was real weird. Because people lie to. I was telling this guy, I said people lie out of fear of the repercussion of the truth. That's why people lie. Because think about when you were growing up and you know you did something wrong, your mama, if you told your mama the truth, she was gonna whoop you. And we lied so we wouldn't get a whooping. And I said that's what
Mm.
people do, but that lie, you're not gonna tell your wife the truth because you scared of repercussions of the truth, what she gonna do. And, you know, he said that's your mom and your wife is different. And he called himself a Christian. I said that's why I don't respect you because if you I hear you tell me something you don't and you lie to your wife, but then she lied to you, you get mad. Don't
Yeah.
lie. Either did the Bible tell us not to lie to each other, Nancy?
Yeah, it tells you not to lie.
So be honest. Be
That
honest.
and that I think that's so many. I think that's something that a lot of people, they have so much internal trauma. They need to be able to work on that. And some people, man, they don't know how to be. They don't genuinely know how to be honest.
Exactly.
Because they can't be honest with themselves. That's
No,
like if you know you struggling, even though you struggling, they're not gonna admit they're struggling. They're gonna say it's everybody else's fault why they struggling, but you know why you don't want to admit why you're struggling. But yeah,
but you know something though, man. You know, I can't say necessarily for other countries. I mean, I've gotten the opinion from other friends in other countries, but here in America, man, you know, us men, especially us men of color, we get ostracized if we ask for help. So a lot of men cannibalize their emotions, and that ain't healthy. So I'm sitting here to tell you, I had to turn off my camera real quick, but if you know that you need to go talk to somebody, man, a homeboy, a preacher, God, pray, go seek a therapist. That's what they're there for. A
Yeah.
lot of that's a pandemic. Too many people are taking their lives. Too many people are struggling, you know, because they afraid that if they start opening up to their wife's gonna look at them like a little punk, and they're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna feel the same way about it. And if that's how you think that that's how you, if she's gonna respond, you with the wrong person.
oh yeah, because you got to think about because we know we had talked about this on numerous times on the show too. Big shout out to Miss Henderson to come to say a woman love for a man's lead. You right? Yeah, she does that. But yeah, because this kind of stuff is important because you have guys who make molestation. We don't talk about that. We hear girls was molested. We have boys that was molested too
Absolutely.
by other men. So they struggle with their sexuality where they are attracted to both men and women. And they have not talked to their wives about this or the girlfriends about this because of fear of if I tell her what I went through as a child, like you said, she's gonna look at me weird and look at me different because we never talk about these things. Women can talk about these kind of stuff. Women can talk about this stuff with
All
no
day.
hesitation. But guys, we have a hard time of talking about these things. So when it
You'd be
comes to
surprised.
the
Not a lot of women do open up about it. They also struggle with it. But yeah, they're more likely men are hiding it more than women.
because it's the fear, Nancy, of if I tell my wife I was molested by another man,
She may
she's
look at me
not
different.
going. She'll look at me. In other words, he's already judging himself because she's gonna look at me different. She's not gonna respect me. She gonna think I'm gay, and she ain't gonna want me no more.
Mm.
So they already judging themselves.
Yep.
So they put it's that mental blockage they already put up.
I think too
Cause
many
even
people, too many people are have so many skeletons in their closet. They haven't had a chance to be able to really talk to a professional or someone to be able to pull them out. You know what I mean?
that's why the Bible tells us the faith shall false one to another, and then pray that he may be healed.
Yeah.
Because you think that people are starting to talk about these things now. People are starting to talk about these things now that they went through the traumas and stuff, the abuse. Because some people being physically abused as a child.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that people are starting to talk about these things now instead of just holding these things in. Because if
And
it's
also, men struggle with not having a father in their household growing up. That's another big thing that they need to talk about and be able to you know forgive, or just talk about it, because that's a big area where they lack you know accountability and stuff, and they
yeah,
grow up going into in and out of jails because they didn't have a father, and they lack that father figure that would have directed them the right path.
right. You're right about that. 'Cause we had a great conversation. Wow, man, we way over time. Wow, we
Yeah.
probably ready to get off this thing. I know we're gonna be back here tomorrow night. Before we get ready, we way over time. I ain't realize it's almost 9 o'clock our
We
time,
had a
10 o'clock your time.
good
Yeah, we did. Carl, before you're ready to go, let's go ahead and plug in all your information, your business, social sites, how people get in contact with you, the service that you're doing, and all of the
conversation.
good stuff. Then pass it on to Nancy, lead us out, and we're gonna be back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So go ahead, plug in your information, then Nancy, then we're gonna be out this thing. Like I said, we way over time. So go ahead, Carlos.
All right, man. I just want to again thank you, Furman, for the opportunity to have this great conversation, man. Dialogue that greatly needs to be had, man. People starving. People want to hear this kind of thing. And then Nancy, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
So Order Digital, if you want to get to the first page of Google, and if your business is struggling for not getting any kind of customers or you're not getting any kind of sales, so we provide everything from hosting to websites and social media management. If you're wanting to be able to get to the next level, you're only making 5,000, 10,000 a month. You want to break that 30,000 a month threshold. Holler at me. You can find me. Google Carlos, Carlos. Last name is Leguizamo. I'm all over Google. You can Google me. I've been working on my own personal brand for a long time now. You can text me 903-283-8124. My website's autodigital.media. My other website is automedia.studio, but that one is down currently because I'm creating a whole new platform. I do weddings, any talking head videos, corporate videos, commercials, reels and visuals for music videos and social media. So if you want to capture your golden memories, let me, I'll come anywhere in the country. God bless you, Furman, and thank you again, Nancy, for this opportunity. And gosh, man, just thank you for this opportunity.
All right, thank you, Carlos, as well. We thank you as well for hanging out with us and had a great conversation. This conversation to help us all. You know what I'm saying? We
Absolutely.
all are working the making. I'm a work in the making. We all gonna be a work
Hmm.
in the making. So we constantly evolving. I'm constantly evolving, and always take the limits off yourself. Explore life, learn you, become a higher version of yourself. Tap into the high. Well, think about it. Tap into who you really are because God already created you. It's already on the inside of you. We just got to bring it out of us now and
Hmm.
maintain it while we're here in the earth. So that ain't it, man. Learn, grow, and evolve. So Nancy, better pass it on to you. Lead us out, plug in social media site, then lead us out. And me and you will be back here tomorrow night, prime time, and then we'll be back here Saturday as well. So go ahead.
You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on TikTok, and you can find me on Facebook, All Kingdom Chick Nancy C. Romans 10:9 says, if you confess with your mouth and believe with your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord, you shall be saved. So right now, just say, Dear Lord Jesus, I admit that I'm a sinner. Please forgive me of all of my sins. I believe that you died on the cross and rose on the third day. Today, I make you my Lord and my Savior, and I live and fill me with your Holy Spirit and lead me for the rest of my days. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen and
Amen.
amen again. So, man, we got to believe it, see, believe it, receive it, walk in it, and other great stuff. About to get to shut it down because I'm getting up early in the morning at 3 a.m. hit the gym, so I'm going to
Ooh.
shut it down for the night. Hey, I got to be about my business, so I got to get it in.
I feel you.
Got to get it in. So, about to get to shut it down. Man, y'all have a great, great night. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your night. Get some
Enjoy your
rest.
night.
Get some sleep.
All right,
Enjoy
y'all
your
take it
night.
easy.
All right, peace out, and we'll be
Bye.
back here
Peace.
tonight, tomorrow night. Peace, everybody.
Tomorrow night.